All right, so get ready because we're going deep on this one.
Oh, yeah.
Quran chapter 23, the believers.
Nice.
We're going to kind of unpack, what this chapter has to say about like living a life of faith. But even if you're not, coming at it from a religious angle,
Right.
there's a lot here about what it means to be human, our purpose, how we deal with mortality.
Yeah, the big questions.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah, it's true.
This chapter is not just like a set of rules or anything.
Yeah.
It's a reflection on the human condition, exploring these themes that resonate with people of all backgrounds.
Exactly. And it starts right off the bat listing the qualities of those who like truly believe. Humility, charity, chastity, trustworthiness, faithfulness, and prayer.
Wow.
It's almost like a blueprint for a good life.
Yeah. What's interesting is that it emphasizes both inner virtues and outward actions.
Right?
You can't just be a good person in your heart.
Right.
You have to actually show it through your deeds.
That makes sense. It's like walking the walk.
Yeah.
Not just talking the talk.
Totally.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
The creation story.
Okay.
It describes the stages of human development
Right.
in such vivid detail, from like clay to a seed,
Uh-huh.
a clot, a lump, then bones covered in flesh.
You know what? That's a great point.
Yeah.
The way this creation story lays out each stage, it almost feels like a scientific blueprint unfolding.
It does.
It makes you wonder if there's a deeper connection between faith and science
Totally.
that we often miss.
It makes you think about the intricate process of life and where we fit into the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
And speaking of the grand scheme, the chapter then shifts to the stories of prophets.
Right.
We hear about Noah and another prophet who isn't named,
Yeah.
both facing rejection from their people.
Yeah, these stories highlight a recurring theme, I think, in human history.
Yeah.
The difficulty of introducing new ideas and challenging established beliefs.
It must have been so frustrating for them.
I know.
Imagine trying to tell people something radical, something that challenges everything they believe in.
Right.
It makes you think about how resistant we can be to new ideas, even if they might be true.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced something similar?
Oh, for sure. It's certainly a challenge we all face at some point, whether it's trying to convince someone of a different viewpoint or simply trying to change our own ingrained habits.
Right?
These stories remind us that the path of truth isn't always easy.
No kidding. And then things take a turn towards the heavy stuff.
Okay.
Death, resurrection, and the day of judgment.
Ooh.
The chapter doesn't shy away from the reality of death,
Yeah. Yeah.
reminding us that we'll all face it eventually.
It's a sobering thought, but it's also a call to accountability.
Yeah.
The verses paint a vivid picture of scales weighing deeds
Right.
and the consequences of disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reminder that our actions have weight both in this life and beyond.
This part really got me thinking.
Go ahead.
Did you think that we created you in vain and that to us you will not be returned?
Well,
It's like a challenge, urging us to consider the significance of our existence.
that's a question that has echoed throughout human history.
It has.
What is the purpose of life? Do our actions have lasting consequences? This chapter encourages us to grapple with these big questions head on.
Right. It's a powerful reminder that we're not just here for a good time. There's a bigger purpose at play.
Yes.
And this leads to a really bold statement.
Okay.
The rejection of false gods.
Okay.
The chapter declares,
Yeah.
Allah has never begotten a son, nor is there any God besides him.
This is a fundamental principle of Islamic monotheism.
Right.
The chapter argues that if there were multiple gods, creation would be chaotic and unequal.
Oh, wow.
It emphasizes the singularity and absolute power of Allah.
I see. So it's all about order and unity.
Yeah.
This concept of a single, all-powerful God is fascinating,
Yeah.
especially when you compare it to other belief systems.
Right.
What do you think is the impact of this belief?
Well, for believers, it provides a sense of grounding and purpose.
Oh,
Knowing that there's a single divine force governing all of creation can be incredibly comforting and inspiring.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And even amidst these warnings about the consequences of disbelief, the chapter ends on a surprisingly hopeful note.
It's almost like a breath of fresh air, isn't it?
It is.
After all the talk of judgment, we get this beautiful emphasis on divine compassion.
Exactly. The prophet ends with a prayer.
Okay.
My Lord, forgive and have mercy, for you are the best of the merciful.
It's a powerful reminder that even amidst discussions of justice and accountability, mercy remains a central attribute of God.
I love that it's a reminder that even though these teachings are ancient, they still offer so much wisdom and guidance for our lives today.
I agree.
You know?
You know, it's fascinating how this chapter directly addresses those who might be skeptical.
Yeah.
It doesn't shy away from their doubts.
Yeah.
It engages with them.
It's like it's having a conversation
Yeah.
with the listener, saying, hey, we get it, you have questions.
Right.
Let's explore them together.
Yeah. Exactly. For instance, when discussing resurrection, it acknowledges the skepticism.
Right.
We were promised this before we and our ancestors. There's nothing but legends of the ancients.
It's like saying, we know this might sound far-fetched, but hear us out.
And then it prompts the reader to think critically about the world around them.
Okay.
To whom does the earth belong? And everyone in it, if you happen to know.
Leading to the natural conclusion.
To Allah, the chapter suggests.
Oh.
It's a smart way of getting you to think,
Yeah.
hey, maybe there is something bigger out there.
Subtle but effective.
It continues prompting further thought.
Oh.
Who is the Lord of the seven heavens and Lord of the splendid throne?
Right.
Again, leading to Allah.
It's like building a case step by step
Yes.
for Allah's sovereignty.
Exactly. It culminates in this powerful assertion, in whose hand is the dominion of all things, and he protects and cannot be protected from if you happen to know.
Again, the answer's implied.
Yes.
Allah, it really drives home the idea of his absolute power.
And then it poses this challenging question. Then, are you bewitched?
Ooh.
It's like it's saying, if you can acknowledge all of this, how can you still deny the truth?
That's bold.
Right. And this leads to the core message. In fact, we have given them the truth, and they are liars.
So it paints a stark contrast.
Yeah.
On one hand, divine truth.
Right.
On the other, those who choose to deny it.
Right.
It really highlights the choice that's presented.
And this choice is emphasized again when addressing those who try to dilute the concept of God.
Okay.
Allah has never begotten a son, nor is there any God besides him.
This is where the chapter solidifies its stance on monotheism.
Yeah.
One God, Allah.
And it backs it up with a compelling argument. Otherwise, each god would have taken away what it has created, and some of them would have gained supremacy over others.
That's a logical point. Multiple gods, each with their own power.
Right.
Creation would be total chaos.
It's using reason to reinforce the concept of a single, all-powerful God who governs everything.
It's interesting to see how the chapter uses both theological arguments and persuasive rhetoric to present its view of belief and disbelief.
And amidst all of this, it doesn't forget the human element.
Okay.
It acknowledges the struggles of those who reject faith,
Right.
offering a glimmer of hope.
You're talking about the prophet's prayer.
Yeah.
My Lord, do not place me among the wicked people.
Right.
It shows his compassion even for those who oppose him.
Exactly. And this is echoed in the closing verses where he prays, "My Lord, forgive and have mercy, for you are the best of the merciful."
It's a beautiful reminder that even in the context of judgment, God's mercy is always there.
It's a message of hope even those who have strayed can find forgiveness.
It speaks to the core of what it means to be a believer,
Yeah.
to hold on to faith even when it's tough, and to always seek mercy and compassion.
It's a reminder that faith is a journey with challenges and triumphs.
Yeah.
A journey about living in accordance with our deepest beliefs and values.
So as we dig deeper into chapter 23, we encounter these powerful verses about death, resurrection, and the day of judgment.
Right.
A reminder that our time on earth is limited.
These verses paint a vivid picture of the afterlife.
Okay.
Scales weighing deeds, consequences for disbelief,
Right.
and the eternal abode of hell for those who have lost their souls.
It's a sobering reminder that our actions have eternal repercussions.
But there's also hope within these verses.
Okay.
The chapter reminds us that those who believe and do good deeds will inherit paradise and dwell there forever.
It's all about balance our choices. Our choices determine our ultimate destiny.
And that's where accountability comes in.
Right.
The chapter emphasizes that we are responsible for our choices and will be held to account for them on the day of judgment.
It's a powerful reminder to live with intention
Yes.
and strive to make choices that align with our beliefs.
The chapter doesn't just describe the day of judgment.
Right.
It also recounts the pleas of those who find themselves facing eternal punishment.
You're talking about those who cry out, "Our Lord, our wretchedness prevailed over us, and we are a people astray.
Yeah.
Our Lord, bring us out of this.
Yes.
If we ever returned, we would truly be evil."
Yes. Those desperate pleas serve as a stark reminder of the consequences of disbelief and wrongdoing.
It highlights the eternal regret that awaits those who turn away from God's guidance.
But even in this depiction of divine judgment, there's a glimmer of God's mercy.
Okay.
The chapter mentions a group of God's servants who remain steadfast in their faith despite facing ridicule and persecution.
And God acknowledges their endurance, rewarding them with triumph.
Yes.
It's a powerful reminder that faith and righteousness will ultimately prevail.
It speaks to the power of perseverance.
Right.
And the importance of staying true to our beliefs, even in the face of adversity.
It's like the chapter is saying that true faith is not passive. It's reflected in our actions, even when it's challenging.
Exactly. That message resonates deeply, offering inspiration and strength for believers throughout the ages.
It's a reminder that our actions have consequences.
Right.
Not just in this life, but in the hereafter.
Yes.
It encourages us to reflect on our choices and strive to live a life worthy of divine reward.
And that, I believe, is one of the most profound takeaways from this chapter.
Yeah.
It's a call to live with purpose,
Right.
to make choices that matter, and to always seek the path of righteousness.
I'm noticing a theme here.
Okay.
This idea of personal responsibility
Yes.
keeps coming up throughout chapter 23.
You're absolutely right. It's this constant reminder that we are accountable for our actions, both big and small.
Yeah.
It's woven into the fabric of this chapter.
And it's presented not in a judgmental way,
Right.
but rather as an invitation to self-reflection.
Yes.
Hey, listener, this is something to consider.
Right.
How are you living your life? What choices are you making? Because you are responsible for your own destiny.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It's about empowerment. Chapter 23 isn't just about rules. It's about encouraging the listener to make conscious choices that shape their eternal path.
And this idea of personal responsibility is beautifully illustrated through the stories of the prophets.
Right.
We see Noah tirelessly preaching,
Yes.
facing constant rejection,
Yeah,
but staying true to his mission.
absolutely. He chose to fulfill his responsibility to convey the message regardless of the outcome.
It reminds us that sometimes doing the right thing means standing alone, but ultimately, as the chapter suggests, the reward is worth it.
And then we have the unnamed prophet facing ridicule and disbelief, accused of making up stories.
Right.
Yet he remains steadfast, ultimately witnessing his prophecies fulfilled.
It's a testament to the power of faith and trusting in a higher purpose, even when surrounded by doubt.
It's a beacon of hope, showing that truth will eventually prevail.
Oh.
These stories aren't just about prophets, they're about us.
Okay.
They remind us that we have a responsibility to live according to our beliefs,
Yeah.
to stand up for what we believe in.
Even if those choices aren't popular or easy.
Exactly. Chapter 23 is a call to action.
Okay.
Our faith is not passive. It's something we actively embody through our words, actions, and choices.
And this theme of personal responsibility extends beyond our individual lives,
Right.
doesn't it? It includes our role in society.
You're right. The chapter's emphasis on charity, trustworthiness, and safeguarding chastity speaks to the importance of social responsibility.
Oh, wow.
These virtues are essential for a just and harmonious society.
So our individual choices contribute to the collective good.
Yes,
By striving to live righteously, we help create a more just and compassionate world.
exactly. And that's where the true power of chapter 23 lies.
Okay.
It's not just about beliefs or rituals. It provides a framework for living a meaningful and ethical life.
It's a guidebook for navigating the complexities of life, for making choices that matter, and for leaving a positive impact on the world.
It's a reminder that our lives are not just about our own individual journeys. They're about contributing to something greater than ourselves, about building a world where justice, mercy, and compassion prevail.
It's a beautiful message.
It is.
It's about taking ownership of our lives, embracing our responsibilities, and making choices that benefit both ourselves and those around us. And all of this is underscored by the understanding that we are accountable to a higher power.
Precisely, this awareness of accountability shapes our perspective, our choices, and ultimately our legacy.
Right.
It's a powerful reminder that our actions matter both in this life and the next.
And it's something we have the power to choose every day. We have opportunities to make decisions that reflect our beliefs, to act with compassion, to contribute to the well-being of others.
Chapter 23 empowers us to embrace those opportunities, to live with intention, and to strive for a life that is both meaningful and impactful.
Right.
It's a call to action, a reminder that our faith is not just something we believe in, but something we actively live out each and every day.
You know, it's amazing how this chapter, even though it was written so long ago, it still feels so relevant
It really does.
to our lives today. Makes you think about those big questions,
Yeah.
What's it all about?
Yeah.
What's my purpose? What happens after we die?
It's true. Chapter 23 tackles these questions head on, and it does so in a way that encourages us to think for ourselves.
Right? It's not about laying down the law. It's about inviting the listener
Yeah,
to engage in a dialogue.
I like that.
There are so many thought-provoking questions
There are.
sprinkled throughout the chapter.
Yeah.
Like when it asks, did you think that we created you in vain and that to us you will not be returned?
Yeah.
It's a real challenge to consider why we're here and what happens after this life.
It's a powerful reminder that our existence has meaning and purpose, even if we don't always see it clearly.
Right.
The chapter invites us to look deeper, to contemplate the wonders of creation, and consider the possibility of something greater than ourselves.
This part really struck me. To whom does the earth belong and everyone in it, if you happen to know?
Right.
It's such a simple question,
It is.
but it gets right to the heart of the matter, you know?
Yeah.
It's like it's saying, look around you, all this beauty and complexity. Where do you think it all came from?
It's a brilliant rhetorical technique that gently guides the listener toward acknowledging a higher power.
Yeah,
And it doesn't stop there.
right.
The chapter continues to pose these questions, each one building upon the last, leading us towards a deeper understanding of Allah's sovereignty.
It's like a puzzle, isn't it?
It is.
Each piece fits together to reveal a bigger picture.
Yeah.
And the way the chapter uses such vivid imagery and language
Yeah,
really helps bring these concepts to life.
absolutely. Think about the creation story with its detailed descriptions of how we develop from a tiny speck to a fully formed human being.
Oh, yeah.
It's both scientific and poetic, capturing the awe and wonder of life itself.
And then there are those dramatic descriptions of the Day of Judgment,
Right.
the scales weighing our deeds, the consequences of disbelief.
Yeah,
It's intense stuff,
it is.
but it really makes you think about the choices we make and how they impact not only this life, but also the next.
Chapter 23 isn't just about fear and judgment, though.
Right.
It also offers a message of hope and compassion.
Yeah.
It reminds us that even when we fall short, even when we doubt, God's mercy is always there,
Yeah.
ready to embrace those who seek forgiveness and guidance.
That's such a reassuring thought. It's like a safety net, knowing that no matter how many mistakes we make, we can always turn back to God and seek forgiveness.
Exactly. It reminds us that the path of faith is a journey, and we're all bound to stumble along the way.
Right.
But the important thing is to keep striving, keep seeking, keep growing.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into chapter 23,
Yeah,
I'm left with this feeling of hope and a renewed sense of purpose.
that's great.
This chapter has challenged me to think deeply about my choices, my responsibilities, and the legacy I want to leave behind.
It's been a fascinating journey, and I hope our listeners have found it equally enlightening.
Me too.
Chapter 23 is a testament to the enduring power of faith and a source of inspiration for anyone seeking a deeper understanding of themselves and the world around them.
If you've been listening along, what stood out to you the most? What resonated with you? What questions are you still pondering?
Right.
This chapter is full of so much wisdom,
It is.
and it deserves to be revisited and reflected upon, maybe even share what you've learned with others
Yeah.
and start a conversation.
And as always, we encourage you to continue your own exploration, seek out different interpretations, engage in meaningful discussions about these teachings, and let the wisdom of chapter 23 guide you on your own unique path.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep seeking, Ted. Keep questioning and keep discovering the wisdom that lies within these ancient texts.